Alright, what is up, guys? Today we're back on Pokemon Showdown for something a little bit different. We're bringing you guys a guide to the competitive draft league format with various guests that I will be having on my channel. Today we have Alex.
Hey guys.
He's the Season 1 champion, so he definitely knows what he's doing. This guy, he's OG, goes way back to the IPA history. So we have both of our lists here, and we have some. I have some sets, some ideas, or not sets, but just moves that you can use, and we're gonna talk about why we put each Pokemon at our top 5. So today we have the top 5 Mega Pokemon for the Draft League format, and this is all completely our opinion. It's not a fact. So if you guys disagree, leave your list in the comments and tell us why you picked the mons that you picked, or why you think we should have had some other Pokemon in the top 5. So let's get straight into this, I guess, if you're ready, Alex.
Sure. You could go first.
Okay, so my number 5 slot, we have the Mega Gardevoir right here. I have Mega Gardevoir at number 5 because I really feel like this thing could be higher. It's just its speed tier is kind of leaves a bit to be desired, but this thing with 165 base special attack and Pixelate boost, this thing just hits so hard, and it's by no means slow. It has base 100 speed. That's gonna outspeed those fatter mons, which is really what this thing is so good at taking out. So it's just really good. Right up here we have some Gardevoir sets, some stuff you can do. You're obviously getting that Pixelate boost from Hyper Voice. You can even run Hyper Beam. This thing gets coverage, Focus Blast, Energy Ball. You can set up with Calm Mind if your opponent just has like straight up stall or a slower team. You got Will-O-Wisp for steel types like Scizor, Jirachi. Bait those in. You got Destiny Bond, Disable, Substitute, and this thing even has decent physical attack, base 85. You could run a physical one if you want, like Body Slam, Fire Punch. This thing gets Heal Bell, Wish, Thunder Wave, Toxic, so it gets Thunder Wave, Toxic, and Will-O-Wisp, and definitely has a very impressive special defense stat with 135. So I wanted to make this thing higher, but this could be the perfect Pokemon for your team. If you just need a wall breaker, you need a fairy, this Pokemon it's good. It fits so well on so many teams, and it's a great Pokemon. Do you have anything you want to add, Alex?
Altair, Mega Gardevoir is spoiler alert. Mega Gardevoir is a very solid mon. The best display I've ever seen of anyone using it was last season. The Hakuda Mawile used it incredibly well versus the Washington Wishcash, otherwise known as Amy. She brought a sub Combine Mega Gardevoir and proceeded to 6-0 Brent, or the Washington Wishcash.
And hey, I didn't even bring Calm Mind. I 6-0'd one of my opponents with Mega Gardevoir. I didn't set up. I just spammed Hyper Voice, okay, and I 6-0'd him.
Yep.
Turn 2, I just spammed Hyper Voice and I won. This thing is so powerful. Pixelate giving it essentially a life orb to any normal
Mega
moves
Gardevoir is
become Fairy Stab.
Mega Gardevoir is most effective versus bulky offensive teams where it can outspeed and get its hits off. Because the reality is its defensive stat is not the best, which is why it's so low on John's list. So if it gets outspent and hit by a hard physical attack, it has a very little chance of living.
Well, the physical bulk isn't terrible. It's not good by any means, but just this thing is so good versus fatter, bulkier teams. Like balanced teams even. But the reason it's kind of low is kind of the only way to deal with Gardevoir is to just bring mons faster than it. But if you bring this thing in on you could bring this thing in on like a Heatran. Yeah, I mean, you probably shouldn't switch it in, but it takes like nothing from a Lava Plume if it's like a bulky Heatran. And Focus
Hmm.
Blast is so much. It
Yeah.
kills offensive feature. Like, if you outspeed, you're gonna kill it. I don't care. You have the coverage for it. You're gonna kill it if you outspeed it. But if not, that's kind of the problem. So that is why I have Mega Gardevoir at number 5.
Hmm. And getting down to my number five, I have Hypermetric. The main reason why I have it here and not higher or lower is because fast electrics are vital to some people's playstyle, primarily hyper offense and volt turn.
Mm-hmm.
And arguably this is the best Pokemon at filling that role. It gets Intimidate, so it can take a few physical hits if it needs to. It gets fire coverage, which is valuable. Hidden Power Ice is obviously any Pokemon can get that, and then it gets Volt Switch, Thunderbolt, and that's a very very solid speed stat of 135. The only Pokemon that outspeed that are Scarf Pokemon or other Mega Evolutions, which is very very valuable for the league format, especially because people have to bring Scarf Pokemon or
Mm-hmm.
Pokemon that can bulk have the bulk to beat it. Otherwise, they're just gonna get swept.
Yes, yes. This thing is just, it's so good. I agree with everything you said. Its move pool leaves a little bit to be desired, but it really gets all that it needs.
Mhm.
Between hidden powers, fire coverage, and electric stab, this thing just punches through some teams, doing like good chunks with Volt Switch and getting in some of your physical or special wall breakers in, and just ripping through teams, giving Pokemon free switches with that Volt Switch while also doing huge amounts of damage. This thing is so good at doing that. And you think you have a chancey? Well, catch a Volt Switch, and now I'm gonna go into my Machamp. Okay, you're dead. Let's go. Manectric is just such a good Pokemon. Um, really, the only thing you can really have to stop this is like a Hippowdon or something like a pure ground type. And
And not
like,
even and not even most ground types can really deal with this thing because
exactly,
like
yeah, a hidden power to like a Hippowdon does like 40% with Spadef investment.
mhm.
And if you have a Garchomp, 4 times effectiveness. And another thing I want to touch on is this thing is so fast. Your opponent is almost forced to bring a Choice Scarf Pokemon to take care of it. And
or uh or a special wall that takes multiple hits.
yeah, yeah, but again, you just Volt Switch on out of there and get your other Pokemon free switches. So this thing is so good, but forcing your opponent to bring forcing them to bring a specific item and just negating any other chance of item that they could be bringing is so valuable. Like if they have a Garchomp and they're forced to bring a Choice Scarf, or else they're gonna get bopped by an HP Ice.
Hmm.
Like that Garchomp is much less of a threat to you most likely because it can't switch up its moves.
Hmm.
So that in itself is just very very valuable.
I
And
used this thing in I used this thing in season two for a few games before actually trading it away to old member of the league. And even though I traded it away just for trade value, in the two matches that I did use it, it was my kill leader. It got me 5 kills out of the 11 kills in the match, and I went 1-1, only losing to Chase, who was the leader of the league.
this thing just, it gets you so much momentum and it's so good at doing that. So
Hmm.
great Pokemon in Mega Manectric. Okay, so next up at my number 4 slot, I have kind of a questionable Pokemon, but in my opinion, I think it's very very good. We have Mega Pinsir. Now, Mega Pinsir is usually seen as a sweeping Pokemon. Oops. Mega Pinsir is usually seen as a sweeping Pokemon, and it can do so much more than that. This thing can be a wall breaker. It gets coverage for everything you could have against it. It gets aerialate boosted, quick attack, so amazing priority with, and flying is such a amazing offensive typing. This thing is so hard to counter because it's fast enough, right? To the point where
Hmm.
anything faster than it is probably pretty frail because it's so fast, something like an Azelf or something.
Yeah.
And just a quick attack, not even an unboosted quick attack, does like 60% or something crazy, maybe even more. I don't know. It's base 155 attack, and this thing doesn't even have to be a sword stance sweeper. This thing just hits so hard without any setups. You can get bulk up. You can be like a Spadef set. This thing is base 90 defense, which is definitely usable. Base 120 defense, which is it's really good. You could be like bulk up body slam, aerial 8 boosted body slam.
Mhm.
This thing is just so good. It gets all the coverage you need. This thing could be your stealth rocker if you're that desperate. It's
Also,
just,
one thing that people never mention is the fact that it does get knockoff, which is quite valuable if your team needs it.
definitely. Knockoff is arguably again the best move in the game, so it also has that going for it. I don't know what more you could want out of this Pokemon, other than of course its biggest hindrance, which is its stealth rock weakness, 25% in regular and 50% as in mega form. So you're definitely gonna want to pair this with a good hazard remover like a Starmie, Excadrill, something like that, Latios, something that you can trust to get rid of those hazards. So
Mhm.
just such a phenomenal Pokemon. Just without setup, just it wins so many games. It's so good.
Yeah.
And yeah, you want to move on
Okay,
to
well,
your next Pokemon?
sure. And okay. So my four Pokemon is Mega Altaria. Basically, the story with this Pokemon is versatility is key. There
Yes.
is, it, it can this thing can be so many sets. Basically, the only set that it can't be is a late game sweeper, and even then, it can technically do that with Dragon Dance.
Oh, it's a phenomenal late game cleaner.
But I don't know, like it can't just switch in. It can't switch in and get a kill on faster Pokemon until it sets up. Until it sets up.
Yeah, that's true.
Really, but really, that doesn't matter.
Because
It
it has
doesn't.
the bulk to take hits and
Yeah,
set
but
up.
it doesn't matter. Like unless there's a Weavile or Mamoswine in front of you, you have a pretty good chance of living any hit.
Outspeeding the
And
next turn and just ripping through the team.
also not to mention, you have the Cotton Guard set, you have the Agility set, you have the Spadef Cleric set. You can also run
Especially offensive as well.
physically defensive. You can run modest. You can run modest special attacking, like John said.
hmm
Not to mention, this thing gets fire coverage, so you think your fair one's gonna counter this thing? Nope.
No, catch a Fire Blast, boy. You could you could be Dragon Dance Fire Blast, even with like an adamant nature. 110 special attack is nothing to laugh at.
Mhm.
And you look at this, it doesn't really have one stat that's just like amazing, like Megas often do, like Mega Pinsir in its attack, or Mega Gardevoir its special attack, or Mega Manectric in its speed, something like that. This
Uh-huh.
thing is just so well rounded. It gets so many good moves. It's the perfect Pokemon for like every team. It doesn't matter.
Mhm.
It's just perfect for it. It's great.
As
And
you guys,
mhm.
as you guys know, John drafted this Pokemon this season and sweats me with it. I'm still not happy about that, but it's definitely a very good Pokemon.
Yeah, this thing it having the ability to change the set every week. This Pokemon is the kill leader of my team right now. But you know what? It doesn't need to be. It does so much for me. You don't it's just its presence. You don't even have to bring it. Just its presence making, your opponent's dragon types run coverage for this and stuff like that. This thing is just so fat. It's so tanky. It's decent speed. It can hit hard. It can sweep teams. It can take hits. It can set up cotton guards. It can blow you back with whatever coverage it needs to.
Uh-huh.
And it's great. I love using it. It's a phenomenal Pokemon.
I used this Pokemon in season 3. I didn't particularly love it because I love fast megas, but I did find the versatility that John is talking about. My favorite set
hmm
that I used on it was I used a sub Cotton Guard Hyper Voice set versus Cam aka Pollet. I still lost, but it got me 3 kills, and the only reason why I lost was because this Kieran Black also had substitute.
hmm And one thing I also want to touch on again is this thing has something that not every wall or bulky Pokemon gets, which is so valuable, more valuable than I think people realize, and that is reliable recovery in Roost.
First.
And that just makes this thing last so much longer. Its longevity is amazing. You can Dragon Dance and you'll take a hit, and maybe you'll get taken out by a Mach Punch or a Lopunny Fake Out or something. But like you just roost up and you're healthy. You have a +6 Altaria. I mean, you're not gonna get to +6 every match, but you just set up 6 Dragon Dances and then just keep roosting. Just keep spamming Roost, and it gets Heal Bell for Scald Burns, and it gets everything you need. And often, you're gonna have 4 move slot syndrome, but that's kind of a good thing, really.
Yeah.
It's great. Great Pokemon. So, moving on to my number 3 slot, we have a Pokemon that I think is so good and more diverse than people realize. And that Pokemon is Mega Sableye. So, for Mega Sableye, this thing, it's so bulky with decent attacks, and it's just such a great utility mon. This mon usually isn't gonna be a sweeper or do anything of that sort, just break through walls or anything, but this thing is gonna spread statuses, it's gonna knock off people's items, it can revenge kill with Sucker Punch and Shadow Sneak.
Uh-huh.
It just chips away people's teams and, just neuters people's teams with Will-O-Wisp and stuff like that. But like late game, it just makes everything so much easier. Once your Sableye just comes in and can click knockoff. And like if your team is worried about Stealth Rocks, like who cares? You have Magic Bounce. This thing can't be poisoned. It has Magic Bounce. It can't be burned. It has Magic Bounce unless it's like a Sludge Bomb or a Scald or something, but it's so good. More diverse than people realize. It gets Calm Mind. It gets more physical coverage than you'd think. It gets Rock Tomb, Dazzling Gleam, Brick Break. It gets Hidden Power, Foul Play, Recover, or another mon that gets reliable recovery. Power Up Punch if you want. Poison Jab for those fairies if you're that crazy. It can work.
Mm-hmm.
Just so much here.
The only utility move that thing does not get is Thunder Wave.
Yeah.
That is literally the only utility move that is really, really useful that it doesn't get.
And Heal Bell,
Other
I
than that,
guess, but it's so good.
This thing is the best defensive mega in the game, bar none. Like, Venusaur comes pretty close, but is the best defensive mega in the game, bar none.
Yeah, I agree with Recover and a phenomenal typing. I think, like, twice as good, if not 3 times as good as Mega Venusaur's. Just with only that one weakness, which is Fairy. There isn't a Hidden Power Fairy. There's not a lot of fairies. There's not a lot of Pokemon that get fairy coverage.
Mm-hmm.
So it's so good. It's fat, even with a 50 base HP, 125 defense, 115 special defense. It can sweep teams if you need it. It can revenge kill teams if you need it. It can just spam knockoff if that's what you need. It makes such a difference late game. It's such a fabulous Pokemon.
And the great thing about it in League is the fact that the average IPA team has like maybe 2 to 3 things that get fairy coverage. I know the only 3 things on my team right now that I have that can hit Mega Sableye for anything is I have a Sylveon, I got Mega Lopunny, and I think I also have a
yeah.
I can't think of it, but
and it's not. This Pokemon is so easy to build a team around because of that only one weakness, and it's so good. Like, this works on Stall. This even works on Hyper Offense to, get some things. Well, I guess it's not Hyper Offense if you have a Mega Sableye, but just
Calm Mind
weaken
is
some things.
Calm Mind is ridiculous. I've laddered up pretty high with Calm Mind before.
Very hard to take down. And it's so versatile. Fabulous Pokemon, but let's move on to the next one.
Okay, well, if you guys haven't noticed, our lists are going to be pretty similar from here on out because in reality, there's like 3 megas that have cemented themselves as the best megas in the format, basically. My number 3 is Mega Pinsir. As John already said, hits stupidly hard. Very good setup sweeper, very good wall breaker.
Hmm.
Self rock weakness is the only thing that really cripples it, but even then, most of the time you're not gonna. If you're the Swords Dance or Bulk Up set, you're not taking Mega Pinsir off the field. Like
Yeah,
it's gonna come in, take 25%, set up, get a few kills, die, and
yeah.
then your other teammates finishes up the game.
Or
Yeah.
it could, yeah, it can do anything. Let's say it doesn't have to just set up.
Uh,
It can sweep. It can break through walls. It can knock off some things, items, and it's just a really, really hard Pokemon to check and switch into.
this thing with its coverage 2 KOs the entire metagame.
Hmm.
Like, eh, if a return doesn't 2 KO you, then I got close combat or earthquake. If all of those three don't 2 KO you somehow, I got X Scissor. Like something will 2 KO you from Mega Pinsir.
Yeah, yeah. Mega Scizor. I mean, Mega Pinsir, just a phenomenal Pokemon
Mega
at what
Pinsir
it
is
does.
basically the only Pokemon. Mega
Yeah.
Scizor is basically the only Pokemon that can deal with it because Bullet Punch does 2 KO. Uh,
I don't think
Pinsir.
Mega Scizor can really deal with it. I really don't think anything can deal with this Pokemon. It's so hard
Aside
to
from
deal
rocks.
with. Aside from, yeah, you need Stealth Rocks, and just as if you pair this with the right Pokemon, you're good to go. So,
Uh-huh.
all right, we won't talk too much more about that. We will move on to my number 2, which, as I spoiled earlier, is Mega Scizor. Now, mm, Mega Scizor is just delicious. Look at those claws, ready to snatch up some lives, man. Mega Scizor, it's crazy how bulky it is, the phenomenal typing it is, the phenomenal attack stat, the phenomenal move pool. It's not on your list, and it has. It's just the only thing bad about this Pokemon is its 4 times fire weakness. But with this bulk, it's so bulky. It's just it doesn't matter most of the time. It's just such a good Pokemon. It can sweep teams with Swords Dance. It can break through stuff. Like a Bug Bite does like 60 to 70% to like a defensive Rotom Wash.
Mhm.
It's crazy. It gets the coverage that you're gonna need. You get to knock off a phenomenal move. Again, probably one of the best moves in the game. Gets Pursuit. It can Pursuit Trap. Gets Roost. Again, reliable recovery. U-turn, Tailwind, Superpower, Counter. I mean, you can come up with some pretty cool sets with this thing, and they're almost always going to be effective because
Mhm.
of this thing's bulk and its natural power.
The only major problem that I have with Mega Scizor, and the main reason why it's not on my list, is the fact that there's a lot of things in the game that resist its stabs. Stabs. There's a lot in the game.
Yeah, there might be a lot that resist Bullet Punch, but there's usually not going to be a lot that resists Bug Bite and Bullet Punch and, Knockoff. Knockoff, that's just, it's just the
Uh,
perfect move to tack onto this thing. Superpower, you have.
yeah.
It's just great. And it's not very slow either. Base 75 speed is nothing to laugh at, definitely.
Also, not to mention, it gets defog, which is very, very useful for most teams if you need a defogger.
Yeah, it gets defog. And like you don't have to resist it. This Pokemon resists a lot of hits, but you don't even have to like resist hits to tank them. Like you pretty much counter Weavile with this Pokemon. You can soft check every physical attacker in the game that doesn't get, like fire that doesn't get like super great fire coverage or something.
Yeah.
Like a Mega Lopunny Fire Punch does like 60% to this thing or something. It'll eat it up.
Mm,
So,
I think it does like 90. I think.
we're about to calc that right now. Is that what you want? You want to calc that right
Sure.
now?
Sure. Well,
Alright. Pokemon
that's if
Showdown.
if you're defensive though.
Let's go. Come on. I'm about to get blown back by this super. Dude, no, I'm dumb. Alright, we're gonna go to this damage calc right here, okay? Scissor. Let's say you're a bulky Swords Dance set, right? You're facing a Lopunny. Okay? This Lopunny has Fire Punch. Oh my god, eating it up. It's just 66 to 80.
No, it doesn't. It's a 78%. It's a 76% when you're max HP.
I don't think we're looking at the same set, dog. I don't think we're looking at the same set. But you can EV
What's the
this.
set you're
You can
running?
EV this to tank it. We're not gonna spend that much time on this. It's not that big of a deal. Point is,
Okay.
Scizor, phenomenal Pokemon. I love it. It's great.
Sorry. Okay, well. Number 2 is Mega Sableye. As I already stated, best defensive Mega in the game. This thing can literally do anything. It gets counter, Calm Mind, Recover, Will-O-Wisp, Taunt, Hone Claw, Sucker Punch, Ghost Stab. It gets Fake Out. It gets Facade if you really want to go there. It gets Ice Punch. It gets Magic Coat, which is really useless. It gets Nasty Plot. It gets
Yeah.
Poison Jab.
Elemental punches.
Uh-huh. It gets Poison Jab, Pain Split, which is again useless. Psychic. It gets Shadow Claw, Shadow Sneak.
Focus Punch if those Chanseys think that they're slick.
Yeah, but basically, if you're a player that likes bulky offense or defensive, or even just a Pokemon to build a core around, this is the best Pokemon in the game for that.
It's just like on paper it might not seem as good as we're making it sound, even though it is. It's 10 times better than I can express, because when
This
you're
thing is-
actually playing a game of competitive Pokemon 6v6, just its ability to click knockoff, do 20% to something and get rid of its item and status stuff, it just makes it so much easier in the late game.
Also, its best attribute by far, at least in the league format, is its Magic Bounce ability. The amount of mind games this thing can play with your head is ridiculous.
Yes. It is so hard to set up Stealth Rocks when your opponent has a Mega Sableye.
Mhm.
Definitely. So, we both have the same number 1 Pokemon,
Yeah.
so this is going to be questionable in a lot of people's eyes, but as two people that you might look at as just noobs, like I know I sound like I'm a 3-year-old, but I've been playing competitive Pokemon for about 4 years now. I know what I'm doing.
I've been
I'm
playing for
1700.
5 years.
I'm 1700 on the OU ladder. I'm not a complete total noob. I've won championships of a decent competition level league, and but enough about myself. I was talking about that way too much. I know
Mega
for a
Lopunny
fact
is-
that Lopunny is just such a good Pokemon.
Mega Lopunny has one counter in the entire. Actually, no, two. One counter, one check in the entire game. The check is Thunder Wave and the Will-O-Wisp, and the counter is Cofagrigus. And only one team can have Cofagrigus.
Only one. It's not even like a counter. It does a lot, and then you can just
It
switch
can.
out.
Yeah.
But I understand what you mean with the mummy and stuff. But like, this thing gets so hard. There is not a single Pokemon in the game that resists both of its stabs. This thing has neutral damage for every Pokemon in the game, with 2 moves:
Uh,
Return and High Jump Kick. You just spam those moves, and it's so easy. It's so easy. You get Fake Out, helps in the late game. Again, like Sableye, just doing like 20% chip damage in the late game. It makes it so much easier.
As you guys know, this is the Mega Evolution that I use in this season, and I've used it for 2 other seasons other than this one. And the reality is, this thing is one of the best Pokemon in the entire game, and it's no question the best Mega Evolution in the league format. This thing is the kill leader of the entire league right now with 9 kills. The only 2 Pokemon that come close are John's Mega Altaria with 6 kills and Shiv's Mega Slowbro with 8 kills.
Yeah.
Those are the
This
only
c-
2 Pokemon that come close. Other than that, the next nearest Pokemon is 5 kills.
Yeah. So just Lopunny, it's a wall breaker. It's a late game cleaner. I think it's the best Pokemon at doing both of those things, combined. Like, you have a Victini. Let's say Victini. The thing gets stupid hard, right?
Uh-huh.
Victini's probably a little bit better of a wall breaker than Lopunny, right?
Uh-huh.
but it's not. It's really not the same like late game cleaner. It can't break walls for at the same time for it to clean late game. Like if a Hippowdon is your answer to this, you high jump kick that. Now that's later weakened for you to clean late game. It cannot switch into you again. You have a Landorus, like once you return or high jump kick or ice punch that thing is enough, like you can just win late game, weakening your own checks while breaking them at the same time. It's great.
Yeah.
It's so hard to stop. So hard to stop.
Echolophany is one of the only Pokemon in the entire game that actually you have to run Thunder Wave to stop. Like, basically, if this thing's not paralyzed or burned, it will sweep your team.
It's phenomenal. I have no clue how I'm gonna deal. It's so hard to deal with. It's crazy, and it has the perfect ability that it could ask for. The best ability that it could ask for. With that normal fighting coverage, it gets scrappy. It's just like, bruh, it gets scrappy.
Yeah.
Again, like I said, there's nothing that's immune or resists both of its dual stab in the game. This thing gets all the elemental punches, fake out, quick attack, baton pass. It gets heal bell. It gets healing wish. It gets power punch. It gets, if you don't want to risk protect on a high jump kick, because of the crash damage, this thing gets low kick. This thing gets drain punch. This thing gets circle throw, which I think is underrated. This thing gets return. Like I said, it's so crazy how good this thing is.
Also two sets that I've ran before, because as I've said, I've used this thing a lot in League. Is the Fake Out Last Resort set is the hardest hitting set in the entire game, pretty much. And also, not to mention, this thing gets Encore and Thunder Wave, which are two amazing utility moves.
Really, like the only thing that can really completely stop Fake Out Last Resort in its tracks is like a Mega Aggron. If you don't have a Mega Aggron, you're just gone. You're just dead. It's crazy, and it has a pretty solid, typing. Its defenses are decent, like 94 and 96, 65 base HP. Like, you're not really most of the time gonna die to a neutral hit. So it's just out of this world good, and I think we've said all we need to say about this monster. It's just so good, so hard to deal with. It's like a team of 6 in one Pokemon.
It's amazing. Like, it is the best Pokemon in OU aside from maybe Landorus. That is about the only Pokemon that can even match up to this thing.
This thing is good against. It just doesn't matter what your opponent is bringing. If they're bringing a stallier team, this thing can break that down. If they're bringing a balanced core with like a balanced core with like whatever to check this, they're gonna get worn down eventually to a point where Lopunny can just sweep the offensive threats with the blistering base 135 speed, outspeeding like almost everything in the game, barring Choice Scarfers. Again, like about Manectric, how Pokemon are forced to bring Choice Scarf and stuff like that. It's just a phenomenal Pokemon. It really is. Its attack is great. Its move pool is great. It's so good at everything. It can be.
This thing is the
support
best Pokemon. This Pokemon is the easiest to team build with, because 3 moves are basically guaranteed unless you're running Fake Out Last Resort. And this thing is the most fun to do EV spreads with, because you can run Adamant a lot of weeks.
You can run Adamant a lot of weeks against slower teams. It's just unstoppable. Okay, this thing's base attack reaches. Let's see. This thing's base attack is about as high as like an Azumarill. Almost. I mean, after huge power, which is just it's crazy. 408 attack with an adamant nature. That's stupid, man.
That is as high as I believe as high as a Jolly Megastazor.
That is so crazy. I think it's higher. I don't know, but that's just stupid high.
It's amazing.
We've just been saying it's amazing, and it's stupid busted. But yeah, I think this Pokemon could even be banned from League format, like one day. You know,
Oh, like that's how good it is. Like I don't want it to be banned because I love using it, but
yeah,
it's amazing.
it's so good. First round pick, definitely. You just you
Scary thing is, I got this thing round 3. It's my Q leader and the Q leader of the league.
Yeah, people sleep on this sometimes, which I really don't know why. It's like sometimes people, they see Megalopunny and it doesn't just stand out to them. It really should. This thing is a beast.
Yeah.
This thing is a beast. It's disgusting, but yeah, I think we should stop rambling on about Megalopunny.
We've been talking about this for like 10 minutes.
Yeah, but I hope you guys have enjoyed that video of our top 5 best megas in competitive Pokemon. There will be more of these videos with future guests, so thank you so much to Alex for accompanying me as to make this video. This video took a kind of a decent amount of work to make. Not really, but I'm glad I got to put this out for you guys. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace.